Hello everyone, especially Steamians from steamit.com. This is Colonel. Today is January 12th. I'll be reading a post that doesn't have a title yet, dealing with the root causal factors and the effects we create, how to resolve situations and problems, and how this relates to a tree of life and living symbolism. The tree of life and living is about understanding how we live and why we live in certain ways. Many ancient traditions used a tree of life symbolism to represent knowledge of ourselves in a categorical way, such as in the Kabbalah. Each part is a stepping stone in understanding part of ourselves. The progression upwards emphasizes reaching a higher order capacity in thought and reasoning, where our so-called left and right brain capacities are more balanced, using our intellect and care to produce true intelligence and wisdom for how to act in our lives. What we do and who we become is based on who we are in our being. Fruits, leaves, and effects. Part of who we are is what we end up creating. What we become, how we live, which are based on the actions we take. This is the plane of effects. The fruits, leaves, and branches are the manifested effects. We act to create, produce, generate, or manifest certain results or output. We do create from a false basis or ignorance and engage in wrong actions. Some wrong actions we create through awareness, while others persist because we are ignorant of the consequences to our actions. These wrong actions produce effects in the world and create symptoms, issues, problems, etc. If we want to correct something that happened, then we must ensure that it doesn't continue to happen. Understanding how and why something has happened is required to apply a solution. Focusing on the leaves in the plane of effects has no power for real, lasting, effective change. What has happened has already taken effect. Focusing on trying to change the effect without understanding how or why it is being produced will not permit us to be in a position of understanding to stop the causal root factor from persisting. Roots and causes. The fruits of our labor, the effects we create, the quality of our actions and behavior, our character, are based on the hidden roots that feed the life above. Our consciousness consumes knowledge, processes it to develop an understanding, and then we act on it through our behavior in life. This is the realm where we determine what we are going to do as our actions to create into the world of effects. Why we do things comes from our understanding. This is the root causal factor, the generative source, and the foundational principles and axioms for our actions in life. If we want to change the fruits of our labor, the effects that manifest in the world as a result of our actions, then we need to target the root causal factors that produce these things in our lives. We need to understand why they are being created. Core foundational axioms for living our life can be corrupted and false. This will lead to ignorantly or knowingly creating falsity into the world. The roots are the source of generation, emanation, manifestation, and act as the essence of who we are. Empowered to power. The power to really change the world and ourselves for the better and make it last comes from understanding why we are doing what we are doing. Knowledge is indeed power. As I mentioned in a post yesterday, that knowledge can empower us, or knowledge can be kept from us and also used to restrict our ability to make different choices. Both the influence of falsity and the absence and removal of truth will impact our worldview and therefore behavior. Knowledge is the beginning of power, to empower ourselves to develop a greater understanding, which will empower ourselves to act in a position of accurate and correct understanding of the root causal factors for how and why things are as they are in our world. As such, knowledge is not true power in itself. The power comes in using that knowledge properly, in alignment with what is right, good, and true. The wisdom of knowing how to use the knowledge and understanding is where the power lies. when we actually act in the wisdom of right action. What we do with what we know, our actions, is the culmination of our consumption of knowledge and the development of understanding. To know and not to do is not to know. We understand how to be, and then we do. Our actions are the culmination, unification, and synthesis of our internal expressions of consciousness, our thoughts and emotions, as an external expression of consciousness, our actions. Actions ultimately define who we are, as that is what is the final representation of who we are internally. You shall know them by their fruits is a famous representation of this truth. Actions are what we do to create the world we have. If we want to change what we create and who we are, we have to change internally in consciousness through the removal of false understanding and misinformation. We drink from the data set or data pool of available information to grow our actions, quality in, quality out, garbage in, garbage out. If we intake low quality or erroneous information through what we pay attention to and focus on, and accept it as what is true, then the fruits we will produce will be low quality and may even be rotten action due to the poison of negative knowledge. That is to say, false information taken as true and lived by. And I recommend you take a listen and read or whatever, listen or read or watch the previous presentation, which is linked, and it was on empowering ourselves and creating a market for truth, and you'll understand more of the limiting of knowledge and how it manipulates us, and a lot of my other work talks about it as well. But continuing. So these are the poisoned fruits and leaves that we produce from our tree of life. We are not integrated and consistent in our overall actions and collective co-created results. We produce some right action, yet produce wrong action as well. The roots in consciousness need healing. Healing. We can learn about ourselves and reality to evolve consciousness, to be at a certain point in conscious awareness that we need to be in order to affect not just any solution, but a proper solution. We have to understand the root causal factors that created the effects in the first place. Only by healing the roots can we clear up the poisoned apples growing on the tree. Once the root causal sources are identified, we now know what is responsible for creating the effects. Much of the time we are analyzing our own personal lives, and the problems in our own personal lives are often caused by ourselves. We have to be objectively able to reflect, contemplate, and analyze ourselves honestly. Then we gain the awareness and realization that we ourselves need to do something. True, the solution is to do something. What is it that we need to do? So I'll just mention that even if you find the problem is not in yourself, you still need to do something, and that's speak about the problem and help people understand where the root is, and it might be in themselves and creating another problem that you may or may not be affected by, and it may be a common root that we are unwittingly and forced into complying with through the overall behavior of our society that we can't individually change. So speaking the truth to falsity and making people aware of what we are all doing, or each person is individually doing, is required in order to affect change. Continuing with the next section, don't drink the Kool-Aid. If we don't stop drinking the poison water, then no matter what else we do, we will still be poisoning ourselves, and no lasting health or goodness will come about. If we don't fix the bleeding artery in the body, then no matter how many bandages we apply, such as positivity masks, the illusion of good and order, or rosy-colored glasses, or shifting the furniture around to make things look different, no amount of creating good will give us the lasting life we want. The water that feeds our tree of life needs to be purified. If we leave the toxic poison there, it will poison the fruits of our labor. If we leave seeds of falsity planted in life, it grows to fruits of corrupted, rotten falsity in our actions and behaviors. Many people don't see the falsity in life because they have positivity masks and rosy-colored glasses on that avoid facing reality as it is. We need to target the root causal factors, not the symptoms. This is how we effectively change things for the better. Ignoring, denying, and dismissing the negative, falsity, wrong, immorality, and evil in the world will get us nowhere except running around in circles. If we want real, effective, lasting change for the better, of freedom, prosperity, peace, and anarchy in life, it will not be achieved if falsity persists in our lives. Speaking truth to falsity is required. All of us need to understand how we are creating the world around us. Once we understand and confront what we are doing to ourselves, this will lead to a powerful transformation in our consciousness and the overall condition on the planet. The negative that is being created comes from the behaviors of individuals. The negative is a part of us, and we must learn to face it and not avoid it or deny it when it is being created by us. We can only work through and overcome what we have the courage to face. Never underestimate the power of denial. Well, that's it. Thank you very much for your time and attention and listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice day. Take care. Peace.